Dear friends, I am Parvinder from West Highlander and I welcome you all in this video about how nurses can register themselves in New Zealand after doing a 2 to 3 months gap course. In this video, I would be speaking about the 4 basic requirements the nurses must meet as well as the 10 steps involved in the whole process. I would be speaking about the steps starting from the first step of sending your documents for verification to CGFNS to the last step of traveling to New Zealand and completing a CAP program and registering as a nurse. So friends, keep watching for complete information. There are 4 basic requirements the nurses must meet in order to do a CAP program and subsequently register as a nurse. The first requirement is of a nursing qualification. You must have a nursing qualification that is equivalent to a level 7 qualification at the New Zealand qualification framework. That is a BSc nursing, which is a 4 years program in India. So this is the first requirement you must meet of having a qualification which is equivalent to a level 7 degree in New Zealand. The second requirement is of having a current registration. You must be currently registered as a nurse in your country or any country you work as a nurse. So current registration is the second mandatory requirement. The third requirement is of having a work experience. You must have a work experience of at least 2 years in the last 5 years when you send your application. Now there is one thing which must be kept in mind, that this nursing experience must be post your registration. So you complete your degree as a nurse, you get registered with the nursing council of your area and then gain that work experience. So this is the work experience which is the third requirement of the process. The fourth basic requirement is of English language. As New Zealand is an English language speaking country, you need to have evidence of your English language ability. The nurses can show this in the form of a IELTS scorecard or a OET scorecard. There is a requirement of having a band score of 7 each in academic module of the IELTS or a score of 350 in OET, that is occupational test of English. So this is the requirement which must be met as a part of the language ability. Some nurses may find it challenging to get 7 each in one setting. The good news is that the Nursing Council in New Zealand, they accept the language test with 2 settings. So if you're not able to get 7 each in one sitting, let's say that you got 777 in 3 but in reading it was 6.5, then you can sit in another English language IELTS test and get 7 in that reading module. But one thing you must take care is that the gap between these 2 tests must not be more than 12 months. So this is the fourth requirement the nurses must meet in order to do a CAP program in New Zealand. Once you have met all these requirements, you can start the step of registering yourself as a nurse in New Zealand. The first and foremost is sending your documents for verification to CGFNS. You put your application with the New Zealand Nursing Council and the first step is that all your documents, your qualification, your work experience, all these documents are verified by CGFNS. This is the first step of the process and there is a fee associated at this process. The duration of this process is about 1 month. Once the CGFNS completes its documentation process, the second step starts. You need to request CGFNS to send your report to the Nursing Council of New Zealand. Once the Nursing Council of New Zealand receives the documentation verification report from CGFNS, the third step of the process starts. The Nursing Council sends you an invitation to complete your registration process. At this stage, the applicants, they complete their application for their registration with the Nursing Council of New Zealand. Once you have sent your application, you have applied to the Nursing Council of New Zealand, the fourth step starts, that is of assessment of your application. On receiving all the information, all the required information from your side, the Nursing Council, they start the assessment of your application. Once the Nursing Council of New Zealand, they have assessed your application, then there is a next step, that is the decision on your application. Now at this stage, the Nursing Council may ask you to do a CAP program, that is a competency assessment program. This program is for nurses to bridge any gap they may have in their qualification from the qualification which they have gained in other country and the qualification in New Zealand. So this is a competency assessment program which is of duration of about 2 to 3 months. The Nursing Council may ask you to do this program. Once the applicant receives this letter from the Nursing Council, the next step starts. The students, they need to apply for a CAP program in New Zealand. The students need to find a seat in a CAP program and apply to colleges to do this course. Once you have got a seat in a CAP program, then the next step start, which is the 7th step. The applicants, they need to gather visa documentation. The visa documentation would be your offer of a place, the tuition fee receipt for the CAP program which you have paid, your passport copies as the proof of your identity, funds to support your cost of living, medical, PCC. This is the general documentation list the applicants need to provide with their application. Once you have gathered all this documentation, there is the next step starts, that is of submission of the visa application. The applicants, they apply for a visitor visa for occupational registration in New Zealand. This is a visa category for nurses who would like to do a CAP program in New Zealand. A licensed immigration advisor may help you with the process. Once you are ready with your visa documentation, the next step is to submit your visa application for occupational registration in New Zealand. The application is made online and there is a visa fee associated at this stage. The processing time of this visa is quite fast. Applicants may expect to get a decision within 1 to 2 months of their application. On successfully getting this visa for occupational registration in New Zealand, applicants, they travel to New Zealand and they do a CAP program. As I previously said that the duration of the program is about 2 to 3 months, 8 to 12 weeks. It would depend on the college you get admission. So you successfully complete this program, and then the 10th and the last step starts is that you apply to New Zealand Nursing Council for your registration, and then you get registered as a nurse, and now you may work as a nurse in New Zealand. Friends, I hope you find this video useful. For any query you may have about CAP program in New Zealand, you may contact West Highlander. I am a licensed immigration advisor licensed by Immigration Advisor Authority New Zealand and can help you with the process. Thank you.